with all that is going on in the world, the anger, the political divisions, the protests, and the violence that is challenging the very fabric and foundation of society, many, are beginning to despair. But despair is a negative reaction of capitulation. We have a much more powerful and positive option that is as close to us as our own heart and soul. Love. Now, I'm not talking about the pop culture caricature of love. I'm not talking about a greeting card's sappy sentiment of love. No, the love we need is that which inspires us to care and shelter, to secure and comfort and tenderly uplift others. It is a bond between people that even transcends death. It is holy. And this power of love comes in different forms. There's romantic love, brotherly and sisterly love, loving friendships, love of community, love of country, and ultimately the simple and all-encompassing love of life. There are a number of elements, however, that are necessary to create and maintain love. But a key to everything is the act of listening. That's what my wife tells me. And not just regular hearing. I'm talking about intense listening. Now, that's a phrase I use in counseling, especially premarital, pre-wedding, and marriage counseling. At first, it seems a bit off, and the couple there's listening, and I'm telling them about the importance of developing listening at an intense level, and they give me that look, accompanied with a slight tilt of the head, as if to say, "Didn't you mean intentional listening?" To which I explain, no. Intentional listening is when we are half listening to someone while we are preparing a response. It means I have an intention. I'm planning a reaction. Perhaps it will be to be supportive. Perhaps it is to plan a defense. Or maybe it is to solve the problem. That sounds familiar, guys, right? So we can change the subject. But intense listening is something different. It focuses on what the loved one or friend is expressing. It means listening to the words being spoken as well as to the tone of the voice. It means taking into account the facial and the body expressions and trying to perceive emotions. It is listening with all of our senses while suppressing to the best of our ability the desire to respond immediately. It's not blandly nodding our head with a faint smile. Rather, it is a total focus on the other with rapt attention. It's not easy at first. It takes practice, but it is worth it because it is a generous gift. It is a gift of love. Love is the most precious of our human experiences, but it also takes work. It takes extra effort because, let's face it, we're fragile and vulnerable, and we have doubts and insecurities. And love is not one of those tangibles that you can measure and quantify, though sometimes we try. One of my favorite scenes is in the classic musical Fiddler on the Roof, and you guys know this. And when they sing, "Do You Love Me?" It's written by two Jewish men by Jerry Block and lyrics by Sheldon Harnick. And most of you know it by heart because Tevye asks Golda, do you love me? And Golda responds, do I what? Do I love you? With daughters getting married and there's trouble in the town. You're upset, you're worn down, go inside, lay it down. Maybe it's indigestion. And Tevye, Golda, I'm asking you a question. Do you love me? Do I love you? For 25 years, I've washed your clothes, cooked your meals, cleaned your house, given you children, milked the cow. After 25 years, why talk about love right now? Indeed, why talk about love right now? It's Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. It's a time of fasting and repentance. It's the day of awe. So to quote Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? Everything. Love is the very core and essence of Judaism. And yes, even on Yom Kippur, love is central. There's a surprising and delightful teaching in the Mishnah. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, 2nd century sage, taught that on Yom Kippur, the daughters of Jerusalem would go out in white clothes and dance in the vineyards and call out to eligible bachelors. They would say, young men, please lift up your eyes and choose for yourself a wife. Don't set your eyes up towards beauty, rather set your eyes towards a good family. And they would sing and dance, and there were more than a few takers. Later commentators chose to read those words as an allegory of our renewed and revitalized spirit after Yom Kippur that enables us to come closer to God. But others maintain, no, the spiritual renewal we experience after Yom Kippur is a perfect time for budding romance. Either way one looks at it, this Day of Atonement is about love. In Judaism, our relationship to God is expressed in terms of love. The month that precedes the high holidays is the month of Elul. It's marked midrashically by a lovely line in the biblical book Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, in which it says, Ani ledodi v'dodi li. That phrase, it's an acronym, the Aleph, the Lamed, the Vav, and the Lamed, spell Elul, which is the month right before Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. And it says, Ani v'dodi li, I am my beloved and my beloved is mine. The traditional understanding even of the book of Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, in which it's all about two lovers and their dance of coming together and enthusiasm and filled with just raw emotion, and then someone said something, and they didn't show up in all time, and then they had a little parting, and then they come back together again. And so it's a little dance of a relationship, ups and downs as well. And they related this not just to human lovers, but to our relationship with God, in which indeed there are times of exaltation and exasperation, times of intimacy and times of doubt, as our relationship with God has waves of joy, of faith, times in which we might feel forsaken. Human relationships and our faith with God are dynamic. To remain healthy, both require our daily attention. And in Judaism, love is defined by not words, not by a card, not by flowers, although those are nice, but by actions. The Hebrew word for love, ahava, comes from the root yud he vav, yud he beit, in which it means to give, yahav. Love is created and given. It's experienced and sustained by how we treat one another. Merely saying, I love you is not enough. We have to demonstrate our love through actions. later on this afternoon, this week's Torah portion is Leviticus chapter 19. It's from a section called the Holiness Code. And you can ask, so what's holiness? And it lists a whole bunch of actions, not just a sense of a prayer and meditation, but what to do and what not to do. And it concludes with the words, Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Do this, don't do this, but most importantly, Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. Be loving. Be loving by giving forgiveness. Be loving by giving others compassion and kindness. And treat others with the same kind of loving understanding that you want for yourself. Oh, and be loving and kind to yourself. For we are all of God's creation. The emphasis on love, as you saw throughout our liturgy, and throughout our daily prayers, are referencing love. God's love for us, our love for God. They're featured before and after the Shema, which itself, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. There's a oneness to all of the universe. And God said God is not this being up in heaven. Rather, God's oneness means that all life is of God. It means that everyone, people of all faiths, all races, all nations, all genders, all forms of sexuality are of God. All life, all creatures, and all creation are of God. As Isaiah taught, Melechol haaretz kevodo. The whole universe is filled with God's glory. Therefore, loving God, being faithful to God, being connected to God requires us to act lovingly towards all. And this is how the power of love can help us combat that which plagues us right now. It helps us combat hatred and bigotry and racism and anti-Semitism, because love is the best weapon against hatred and bigotry. Loving actions are the foundation of a caring society. Unfortunately, we are witnessing it being challenged and eroded. Yes, the harshness of our political and social divisions has diminished love. And one of the causes of that erosion, and there are many, but one of them, is the ever-growing and pervasive role of AI, artificial intelligence. Let's start with the acknowledgement that there are tremendous benefits to AI. Artificial intelligence increases efficiency and productivity through task automation. It improves data analysis and can reduce human error. We use AI for everyday tasks, including generating content, personalizing online experiences, powering navigation in smart home devices. And I know all of this. Why? Because I consulted AI and it told me about all of its benefits. Yes, driving to a new location has gotten to be a whole lot easier with our GPS function. But that said, especially for some of us, isn't it fun when you disobey? And the GPS says, no, make a U-turn. Make a U-turn. Make a U-turn. Recalculating. However, we should be the ones who need to be recalculating. The role of artificial intelligence has skyrocketed over the past 2 years. We now have ChatGPT, which creates human-like text. It answers questions and can perform all kinds of tasks. I shouldn't just say creates human-like text. It creates also human-like voices and personalities. Now, these tasks that it performs can be quite helpful. You might have noticed a proliferation of commercials advertising chat. It's a genius, it really is. It can access libraries of material and can create rather sophisticated answers to just about every question. It can even tailor those answers to you as an individual. How? Because it knows a lot about you. AI and social media outlets acquire personal information about you. Every time you search the internet, your preferences, your interests, what makes you mad, what pleases you, all of this it collects and it sells to advertisers and to whomever else may want to know you in order to influence you and even to manipulate you. Its use by advertisers to buy a product is one thing, but the political and ideological ads in the so-called news bulletins that flood our inbox, these are something much more dangerous. We know that political parties and even foreign interests have been trying to manipulate the political climate and influence elections. We are perhaps well beyond the time when we can slow down the infiltration of AI in our lives, because the fact is, it's already here. It'll only get stronger and more influential in our lives by the day it will. So far, there's no consensus as to how to control AI. The government and think tanks are alarmed, but they've come up with no plan. But we, as individuals, we can start. We can start by recognizing what AI is not. AI is not human, though the AI designers and funders are trying to bridge that gap as well. Consider the fact that some people are so hooked into social media and AI that they're having a difficult time establishing real human relationships. A recent Psychology Today article noted that 1 in 4 young adults believe that AI can replace human romantic relationships. Now let's stop and really consider that. AI is already replacing human romantic relationships and friendships. AI unbound is eroding our most important and essential human experience, love. Now, how is it doing this? Well, ChatGPT uses voices and images that are designed to be seamless and tailored to your individual wants and desires. In contrast, real human relationships can seem awkward and even intimidating. To some human interactions can seem that they take too much effort and there's too much risk. That's why so many are drawn to ChatGPT. We all fear rejection, and that fear can be especially onerous to young people who can face rejection and embarrassment from all sides. Perhaps it is the heartbreak from an unrequited crush for a classmate. Or maybe one was ridiculed by bullies or even a harsh teacher. Humans can reject and embarrass you, but ChatGPT won't. So kids turn to the computer for what they think is a safe relationship, but the dangers are frightening. Those who are overly dependent on AI may become emotionally stunted. Human connections may become more superficial, transactional, or imbalanced. The emotional damage to our younger generations has already taken a toll on so many, and we've witnessed it. young people and not so young people are glued to their smartphones even when they're in a crowd of others. Some schools have instituted a policy of having students put their smartphones in locked bags while at class. That's a good start. Some college students have recently created groups where kids get together and socialize without their phones. One of these groups that is quickly spreading from campus to campus is called Reconnect. Good for them. I hope they succeed. But what about in our homes? Are we sensitive gatekeepers of how our loved ones consume AI and social media? Our children and our grandchildren need our attention and guidance. They are being bombarded by images and posts that would shock you. They are subjected to cyberbullying. They are enticed to share inappropriate information and photos of themselves. They are being trolled and pursued by the worst kind of creeps imaginable. You may have seen the 4-part award-winning show on Netflix, Adolescence. How many have seen it? It's worth getting Netflix for it. It's about the kid who was humiliated online by a classmate, led to tragic violence. Even if you haven't watched the show, we've seen similar stories all too often play out in our communities. The AI world can lead people into a rabbit hole of unhealthy and often perverse material that both desensitizes and feeds the crudest and basest of instincts. People, especially kids, are bombarded with videos of war, assassinations, and they scroll through them as they would any other video on Facebook. They can be overwhelmed by AI and social media, and therefore we have to make sure that they are not underwhelmed by our reaction. They need us. To counteract the AI threat and the dehumanizing of our relationships, we need to refocus on love, on real human love. And that takes paying attention to one another, investing time in one another. And yes, it involves intense listening. The first efforts to reconnect with kids and grandchildren, I'm telling you, it will not be very successful. It won't be. But don't give up. Be gentle and be persistent. Being persistent means, now I tried it once or twice. I tried that, it didn't work. My kid didn't want to talk about it. Be persistent. They're your kids. Don't give up on your children and your grandchildren. Be loving and persistent. They are dealing with things that we are not aware of, and they may not be very forthcoming. So we can't give up on them. Gently welcome them. And kids, don't give up on parents and grandparents. Take it to heart. Man, everyone had problems with their parents and grandparents growing up. But the more you experience in life, you will understand, kids, there's no one in your whole life experience that will love you like your parents and grandparents. No one. Theirs is an unconditional love. Theirs is the love that has nurtured you from infancy. And I assure you that you will need that love in the years to come. So embrace it. Open yourself up to it. Give them a chance. When the world seems to be spinning out of control, Judaism teaches that we will survive by emphasizing the central value that has sustained us through our 3,500-year history, and that is love. For Judaism, love is profoundly essential. Love is holy. Love is the bond of our most precious relationships, both with each other and with God. Yes, it requires a high degree of sensitivity and compassion. Yes, it involves sacrifice and devotion, loyalty, and, in keeping with the spirit of Yom Kippur, a willingness to forgive and to renew and to rebuild. But there is no substitute for real love. No computer can take the place of it. The love of family and friends, the love of God, the love of Zion, the love of study, the love for life. The greatest gift we can give is to help another person feel loved, feel needed, feel listened to, feel cared for. And on this day of Yom Kippur, this day of atonement, let us strive to increase love and respect in the world, because God knows what the world needs now is love, sweet love. Another wonderful sentiment written by two nice Jewish boys, Burt Bacharach and Hal David. Come on. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's way too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Ken Yeh Ratzon. May God empower us to bring love into our lives and to heal this world.